Well, guys, there is no words apart from absolutely bloody rubbish today. Newcastle United, from the first minute of that game, just did not turn up at all. I thought the first 8 to 10 minutes we paid them far too much respect and we stood off them, and that was how the game went. From then on, Manchester City just gained more and more confidence and absolutely destroyed us. The attitude for me was really wrong. I don't know what was going on in that team today, but you looked at the body language of the players, you looked at the way we played. There was no fight, there was no spirit, there was no energy. And you have to ask questions as to why that is. And, I'm not putting up with this cup final malarkey. People saying, the cup final's maybe in the back of the mind. These guys are professional footballers. And the cup final is weeks away. There is no way that cup final gets in the way of a performance like that when you're playing away at the Etihad. And you're trying to prove that you, as a team, are good enough to be up there amongst the big boys in the Premier League. And that is not a performance you want to see from your team today, no matter who you are. Nobody played well. The starting 11 was absolutely dross today. And many people said before the game, they were very happy with the starting 11. And I was as well. I thought, that's a good enough side to really give Manchester City a game, or at least make Man City know that they've been in a game, whatever the result. And I was talking to Alex before the kickoff there, and I said, it doesn't matter to me, the result as such. It's the performance. When we lose a game of football, you want to at least say, well, at least we gave it a go. And today, we didn't give it a go. We were dreadful from the word go. The first goal, long ball by Edison over the top. I don't know where our players are. Trippier does see the run from Mamouche. However, completely misjudges the flight of the ball, which is very unusual for Trippier because he normally reads the flight of a ball very well, which is why it kind of makes up for his legs disappearing from him in his later years. So, ball comes across. Mamouche clips it over the top of Dubravka. Now, Dubravka, should he have come? Should he not have come? The point of Dubravka was he was in the D when Edison kicked that ball. So as usual, goalkeepers do come right out before their fellow goalkeeper at the other end takes the goal kick. But Edison brought it a long way forward, and he hit a beautiful pass, to be honest, as he did most of the afternoon. His passing was sensational today, by the way. The second goal, again, we just seem to switch off, don't we, for that brief second. And Mamouche gets the ball again, cuts onto his right, slight deflection off Trippier's calf, and it bounces past Dubravka into the net. And again, we're not picking these players up. We're allowing these players to just cut through us like a knife through butter. And we can't play like that against top quality opposition. Now, Man City have had a pretty dreadful season by their standards so far. But again, they come up against Newcastle and we make them look like world beaters because we were so bad today. Now, that's not taking anything away from Manchester City because Manchester City, well, they didn't have to get out of second gear, certainly in the second half. First half, they blew us away and then they just controlled the rest of the game after that. So I'm not taking anything away from Manchester City. You'd expect them to, do that at the Etihad sometimes. But when you've got a team who just lack the fight and belief. And the third goal was what really pissed me off, guys. And you have to look at all aspects of that third goal. Lewis Hall beaten for pace down the right. Now, that's going to happen sometimes. You get a full-back beaten by a winger lots of times in football. Not a problem with that. But when the ball comes across, you then look at two of your best players in that starting 11, Bruno and Tonali, just watch as Mamouche just stands there on the penalty spot and rifles in his hat-trick. And then they both turn around, just waving their hands in the air, as if to say, oh, fuck this, I can't be arsed anymore, and the game's gone. Now, that's your captain doing that. And if you look after the goal was scored, Kieran Trippier, who, yes, was having a poor game himself, however, realised that, where's the help coming from the midfield? And he screamed at Bruno and Tonali, and rightly so. They just completely switch off. And Tonali did the same thing, by the way, for their fourth goal. Flicked on by Haaland, and then young McAtee stabs it home. Tonali's just watching him. There's no physicality there or anything to deny him the chance. He's just watching him and he just taps the ball in. There's a little tug of the shirt from Tonali which causes McAtee to fall backwards, but he's already put the ball in the back of the net. It was just a complete lack of belief in that side today. And you know what? I've been saying it for a while now before I was, off ill. Newcastle have not looked good in the Premier League for quite some time now. That's 3 defeats in 4 games, and the only one we won was Southampton, who you'd expect to be being bottom of the league and playing like they are. We didn't really blow them away in that game either. So you look at the Premier League performances and you look at the Bournemouth game, Fulham at home, and you think, wow, we're not playing very well in the Premier League. Have Premier League teams simply worked us out? The FA Cup, we've played Bromley and we played Birmingham City. Teams you'd expect to beat in the FA Cup when you're Newcastle United. No disrespect to them. Birmingham gave us a right run for our money last week and we're unfortunate. We didn't play well again last week. The players that stepped in, we still couldn't get it right. So you just wonder, have a lot of these teams simply worked us out and it's too easy for them? Because that game today was far too easy for Manchester City. There was no intense press. There was no belief. There was only really... Miley came on at half-time. Miley stood out for me. I think Miley did really well. He's a much more controlled player than Joe Willock. I think Joe Willock's had chance after chance after chance in the Premier League and still fails. Taken off at half-time today, he was not good. For me, out of the midfielders, when Joe Linton does not play, Lewis Miley has to play. He is a more accomplished footballer than Longstaff and Willock. Simple as that. Jacob Murphy was god-awful today, but he doesn't change it on the right-hand side. He keeps him on the full game. Will Asula, who, did very well on the right-hand side against Birmingham, why not give him a chance for 10 minutes at the end? I don't get that. I don't get, his confidence would be sky high from last week. Yeah, he still doesn't play him. So I'm a little bit naffed about that, to be honest, because I think I'd like to see him in the Premier League, try him on the right-hand side. But it was the whole attitude for me that was wrong today. And I don't know, it's been a week since we played again. Fatigue wasn't an issue. We just did not get out of the starting blocks. And when you play Manchester City at the Etihad, if you don't get out the starting blocks, you're going to be punished. But we've seen teams lower in the league this season go to the Etihad and get results because they've wanted it. We just did not seem to want that today, and I don't know why. Fabian Schär, for me, should be sitting on his arse for the rest of the season. I don't know what's gone on with him, whether age has caught up with him or whether it's simply just he's out of form or what, I don't know. But he is dreadful right now. And Dan Burn, for me, I feel sorry for him because he's having to do the work of 2 centre-backs at times because Fabian Schär simply goes missing. He just disappears. He is not the same player that he was last season. No doubt about it. He's been bang average, if that, most of the season. So I think he's got a long way to come back. But the problem is, Emil Kraft is there. I'd rather play Emil Kraft than Fabian Schär right now. Whether it be in the Cups or the Premier League, I don't give a toss, quite honestly. I think it should be... Fabian Schär should be on his arse, and Eddie should turn around and say, you're not good enough or playing well enough to be in that starting 11. It was horseshit again today. But when you've got your 2 best players in Bruno and Tonali just not performing, what chance do you have? The front 3 were non-existent, but, did they get any service? I thought Anthony Gordon huffed and puffed at times, but, that's not good enough from him either. But he started to come into the game, and then he's taken off. But Isak got no support. Wilson, when he came on, got absolutely no support. It's very difficult for these players. Livramento, for me, did okay. Certainly better than what Trippier was in the first half. But the game was gone by then. The game was completely gone by half-time. And when you've got a team like Manchester City, who have the quality they have in their team, they are not going to... go all out and batter your second half if they've got important games coming up. They will cruise through that second half, and that's exactly what they did. They cruised through the game. So, yeah, we can say that the second half was slightly better than the first, but really, City didn't have to get out of first or even second gear in that second half. They just cruised their way through the game. So, all in all, it's just a dreadful, dreadful day for Newcastle United. But the concern for me is the Premier League form. It is bang average at the minute. We play so well in the 2 legs against Arsenal in the Carabao. but then we just look a shadow of that team in the Premier League. A real shadow. And, the games we've got coming up, you've got Liverpool, you've got Forest. They're not going to be... Liverpool away is going to be difficult enough. But Forest, we know they can beat us at St James's Park. They're having a wonderful season. So it's going to be really difficult. But we need to pull our fingers out our arses and start performing. Because if not, we're going to find ourselves slowly moving down that Premier League table. That first 11 there today, for me, was good enough to compete with Manchester City. I'm not saying it was, we should have won the game or anything like that with that first 11, but they were good enough to compete. And that's what we didn't do. We didn't compete at all with Manchester City, and they simply blew us out the water. So it's very, very disappointing day for Newcastle and the fans. I feel for the fans that travelled down there to watch that dross, to be honest. But hey-ho, we're going to get that from time to time. But thank you very much for watching. It's a disappointing day. But please... give it a like if you've enjoyed the video. And of course, please subscribe if you're new. Come and be part of this amazing community we have on the Toon Review. As we try and hit 36,500 now, we're moving on up again. But thank you very much for watching. Try and enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. I know it's been a disappointment, but hopefully you will quickly forget about this one. Man City 4, Newcastle United 0. We'll see you very soon. Take care.